This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
The one and only Geno Bell is with us here on Halftime. Former Razorback defensive lineman, NFLer, and member of the Learfield broadcast crew. Geno, happy Thursday. How you doing?
Man, I'm outstanding. Happy Thursday to you guys. I'm just pumped. I mean, we're almost a week out from the first college football game, and it's unbelievable that summer has passed us, and we're getting ready for the upcoming season.
Making me smile just hearing your voice, Geno. I can just imagine. I can already see you across from Rick and smiling at me, and I'm ready to talk football with you for about 13 times, maybe 14. What do you think?
Man, I'm looking forward to it. I tell you, it's great to sit down with you. And, when we get in that broadcast booth, it's so great to work with the best point guard in the game is you to kind of set us up. And so looking forward to get the game back again. And we always have a great time to talk Razorback football, but more so enjoy each other's company and great men and friendship.
So I hear the defensive line is supposed to be pretty deep and really talented and maybe a step or two up from what we saw production-wise from last year. That's your specialty. And you've got a few specialties, but I'd say defensive line play would be near the top of the list. You got to be pretty fired up for what you may see on the sidelines this year from those linemen.
Man, I'm beyond fired up. I know since Coach Pittman has been here, I can't believe, 4 years Coach Pittman is coming into, and he really hadn't had the talent that he's needed. And so these coaches have done a great job of going out recruiting talent, a lot of transfers that's come in. And, again, everybody is getting transfer porter guys. But I think we've done an outstanding job. And when you talk about that defensive line, I went to the scrimmage last Saturday, and we have some dogs up front. And it hadn't been that way to go back since 2017 when I started with the broadcast team. But when you look at that defensive line up front, I think Coach Adams has done an outstanding job recruiting, going to get guys to come in and play up front. I think, as everybody knows, the defensive line is probably one of the toughest positions that's on the field just because of stopping the run. You got to be able to keep the offensive line off the linebackers, but also be able to pass rush. And when you pass rush, you become very tired as a defensive lineman. And we have about 8 players that we can rotate up front. And we didn't have that luxury in years past. And so I'm very excited. So I know when I was at the scrimmage last week just to see Landon Jackson, I mean, oh, my gosh, 6'6", 6'7". He's 280 pounds, a massive man. Jeff Cole, the new guy that came in, I mean, he's going to be great for us, of course. We have Gregory Ball that's going to play in the middle. Carter, Zach is coming back. And, I mean, a couple of these freshmen we added, oh, my God, these guys are huge. And so it's excited to be able to look on the field and see defensive linemen that pass the eye test, that you can say that's an SEC defensive lineman that's ready to play in this league.
Geno, hey, man, Matt Jones here. Keeping it with
Matt?
What's up, man? I was trying to keep it with the D line, and the linebacker would tell you their best friend is a good D line, a good up front. When that being said, how do you think our linebackers are going to be this year?
Man, I really think our linebackers are going to do well. When I think about Poopaw, I think he's going to come out and play well. He played a lot of minutes last year, but he also leads by example when he's out on the field. I know last week he didn't scrimmage, but as I was talking to him, looking at him, I mean, he's ready to play. As I think of Crook, I think he's going to be a solid linebacker that's going to come out and play very well, that's going to be very active. And then also we added Antonio Greer, that's going to be very solid. So when you think about that middle and having that rotation, it's going to be solid. But, when you got guys up front that'll be able to keep those offensive linemen from reaching and chip blocking and getting into that second level, it's going to be great. The other thing that's going to be great is about just the overall total defense. When you think about Travis Williams, it's not where we're just going to line up and just sit there and let the guys come off the offense, come off the ball and come at us. I mean, this defense is going to be moving. And when I went to the scrimmage last week, it was just great to hear the communication, the calling out of the offensive plays, And when the ball was snapped, you saw 11 hats get to the football. And the most important thing is the stemming. I mean, these guys are moving, corners and secondary. Folks are moving up and down. And I know we bring in some pressure, which, I love pressure because you keep the offense unbalanced when they don't know where that free person is coming. And so I'm excited to see what Travis Williams is able to do with the defense. But he's putting the players in a great position. He's coaching to the talent that he has versus trying to make a scheme fit the players. And so I'm excited to see these guys get after it. And I tell you, I was pretty impressed over last scrimmage when our guys were playing man coverage. And I can't remember the last time we played man coverage in the secondary. If anything, we were dropping 8 to kind of stop the pass. But these guys are pressing, bringing coverage, and I'm very excited about what this defense is going to do.
And Phil, Jordan Crook, he's a Duncanville, Texas guy. I believe we just had a basketball player that was pretty sharp from Duncanville, Texas. Anthony Black, I think he was from there. And Geno, can you kind of help explain to some of the listeners and to people, like when you talk about stemming, is that kind of real similar to the correlation on offense of like shifts and motions?
Exactly right. So I know you know about that. So when you're doing shifts and motions, the same thing on defense. You may line up in the A gap. As the quarterback comes up and calls out Mike, you shift. The same thing when a motion starts, you may line up in a cover 2, and then you may shift the quarters at the snap of a ball. You may show blitz, and them linebackers walk up into the A gap like they're getting ready to blitz through the hole, and they drop back and force the quarterback to make coverages, coverage changes, and line shifts. And so playing football is one thing being physical, but 90% of it is being mental and ensuring that you can get people to jump, move, and make mistakes in the pre-snap, that you could be able to be aggressive once the ball is snapped.
As you read the scrimmage last week, we hear Sam Pittman, and I think some of the other guys mentioned that the chemistry on the team so far is good. But I think for a lot of teams, it would be right about now. And it's difficult in the free agency era, the transfer portal era, for continuity amongst teams. And not everybody that shows up at the same time is going to get along. Sometimes it takes a year or so for guys to figure things out about each other. But from what they're saying, on a defense at least, where you have brought in literally an entire unit out of the transfer portal, are you seeing a team that looks at least cohesive and chemistry? And again, I don't know, can you really quantify chemistry in August, or is that something that we really figure out once you get into maybe early October, mid-October?
No, I think you figure out chemistry during the summer. And as I was looking at practice, I tell you, these guys are getting along. They're joking on the sideline. They're very engaged. I would tell you, when I think about Ben Stouter, the strength coach, he's been phenomenal. I've had the opportunity this past week to spend about 15, 20 minutes just talking to him. And I tell you, this guy gave me goosebumps and ready to go. And when the guys spend that much time with the strength coach during the summer, that sets the tone for your program. And so with this being his first year from Louisville, he brought a great staff in with him. And when you're able to look at these players, one, they look bigger on the field. They're in shape. They're moving faster, and you can tell that he's a great leader because these guys respect him and because he holds them accountable. And I think all of us like guidelines and boundaries, but long as you model the behavior that you want others to see, I think that's exactly what Ben is doing. Coach Souder has done coming into the program, and I think Coach Pittman did an outstanding job of selecting him as coming in and really getting these guys in shape, really getting them focused on culture and brotherhood, and really getting out there playing together. Because at the end of the day, when you're sitting in that locker room, it's me against the world. It's us against the world. Regardless of what everybody else thinks, it's us, and we got to get out on the field and prove it.
Absolutely. And we're going to start seeing maybe some proof next Saturday. But the way the schedule works out, you remember last year, it's like, hey, you get a pretty tough week 1 game, and then you're in the SEC week 2. And it almost felt like Missouri State caught the team by surprise last year because you were really ginned up for the first 2 games. Now the schedule has a nice natural ramping up where really, I think some of us might be overlooking that BYU game some.
They're going to be physical, man. They were last year. They were physical early. They're going to be an older team, and they'll hit you.
First couple of weeks, Geno, they take care of business, and honestly, it shouldn't be that difficult. Week 3, you get a little difficulty, and then you know what those next 4 weeks look like after that.
I tell folks all the time is 1-0. Anybody can play you and beat you, and I know as a former player, you look at the schedule, and everybody kind of has their idea of how it goes. But the one thing you cannot underestimate is these Division II schools that come in and play, because in their mind, they're playing an SEC school. They're coming in. This is their national championship game, and it's their opportunity to really feel like, hey, I get a chance to play and show people what I can do. And so we need to bring our best game week in, week out. I don't think we're good enough to be able to chalk it up and say these are W's, but I'm excited about this team. I know we're going to put a great product on the field. I'm glad the ramp is there. When you have a new offensive coordinator, you have a new defensive coordinator, you potentially have 10 starters from the transfer portal that may start on both sides of the ball. That chemistry is important because nobody's played a game to this point. We all look good in practice until those lights come on and you got 60 minutes. And so I think that's important to get game speed, build the continuity with each other, have the communication, and really get out and have fun playing football. And I think that's what the first game is going to do, to get the jitters out and then ramp yourself up into that SEC competition.
Go ahead.
Well, yeah, when you talk about the portal guys, what kind of goes in it to getting these portal guys in here, and how you evaluate the talent? And like you said, man, 10 guys could be starting that were portal guys. How does it? I mean, how does that evaluation process go?
I think that evaluation process go off your needs. And I really do believe once people come to Northwest Arkansas and put their eyes on Fayetteville and see the culture and see the area, it sells itself. And also, when you see some of these guys, and even at receiver, when you think of Tesla and Armstrong, these guys, even though they came from a lower-level school, but they caught a ton of balls last year. I mean, these guys caught a ton of balls. And now you're able to come up into a bigger conference year. They could have probably went to other schools, but when they know they have an opportunity to play, you play in the SEC, you play in the SEC West, which is the toughest side of the conference, people know what that means. And so everybody wants a little piece of that action. But what I think the X factor is Coach Pittman and his staff and the culture he has developed here at the University of Arkansas. And so when you're able to come into the university, yes, you can sell the program on X's and O's and say, hey, we're winning, we're building. But the one thing a lot of people don't sell at other universities is that you're not making a 2 or 4 year decision, you're making a 40-year decision. And I'm a live example of that, is that when you feel like you belong to the university, it's not a 4 years and done. When you feel like you're part of the culture, you feel like you're part of the team and you're part of the family, that lasts a lifetime. And I think that's what Coach Pittman has really brought back, and is also showing that to the recruits and the young guys that come in.
Yeah, you are a great example of that. Geno, I can't let you go without asking what you might think of the other side of the ball. If you're at scrimmage, we hear so much about the defensive line, we worry a little bit about the Arkansas offensive line. What have you seen from that position?
Man, that offensive line looks stout. And so, I mean, when you look at Manuel at the left tackle, he's solid. When you think of Limmer, of course, Limmer and Latham coming back, I think Limmer is definitely, one of the best players in the SEC at that center position. Latham is solid. And then Kudos at the right tackle. Even though he's a freshman, I mean, he's came in and stepped up and really get after it. And, of course, Coach Cody is a great offensive line coach. I think he's probably one of the best in the SEC, if not the country, and he really got these guys really going. The other thing that I think he's done a great job is recruiting. You know, when you think about offensive line, you always want to be able to carry 8. 8 is kind of your magic number where you can kind of move people around. But in the past several years, we really hadn't had some depth at that offensive line. And I think we have some depth at that offensive line. If anything should happen, we should be able to move people around. And so when I think about our offense and defensive line, I really do believe they look the part. And, again, this offensive line is getting battle-tested every day going against this defensive line. And I think we all understand steel sharpens steel. And so when you're out there grinding every day, you're not brother-in-law, you're making each other better, you're pushing each other to the brink, that's what gets you game time ready when you get into the football game underneath the lights. So very excited of what this offensive line is going to do. And, again, we got to keep KJ upright. When you think about KJ and the things that, I mean, this guy looks good. I watched him last week. The ball looked good. He's big. I mean, he can run. I saw him get in open field, and I said, ooh, I pity the fool who tried to tackle him in open fiend, because that dude is huge, man. I pity the fool.
I'm glad he's on our team. Yeah, Geno.
Hey, I am too. And the one thing that I am very excited about is even Jacoby Criswell. I mean, he transferred in from North Carolina, and I think his presence alone made KJ better. You know, even with KJ last year, when he got hurt, we really didn't have anybody who could step up and really fill them shoes. And I think we felt the pressure of that last year. But I think with Criswell being here, he's elevated KJ's game. And, I mean, he's a pretty good player, too. And I think all of us understand competition makes us better. Every day when you're out there competing for your job, you know that the man behind you can take your position. And the other thing it does is, hey, you know, when you get in that training room, there's a difference between being hurt and injured. And so, you know, when you think about people who hurt, they ain't going to be sitting down getting ice and doing those things. They're going to push through it because you know there's competition in the room. And this is a great place to be at Arkansas football 4 years under Coach Pittman, because I've seen the progress of the talent. I've seen the progress of the way these players and attitudes of the team. I know it's going to translate the wins on the scoreboard. And that's what we want, a great football team that represents the state of Arkansas, represents something greater than themselves, and I think we're going to get some W's this year.
Geno, you're the best. Looking forward to seeing you next Friday. I know we got a big dinner planned next Friday, so I hope you're there, or if not, I'll see you at War Memorial, okay?
Man, you're going to see me. You can't miss me on those meals, man. You know, when you're big, you actually got to work at it to stay big. So I'm looking forward to dinner. But I'm also looking to catch up with you guys, and Phil, it's always great to talk with you.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.